Welcome back to the second episode of the Startup Experiment. This week I've been working on building out the prototype for the salary negotiation agent, and I got to the end of it and realized most of the work that I've done is kind of useless. So let's go over what I've done this week. I'll show you what I've created and why I think that maybe my time would have been spent better on something else. Alright, so I don't know if that's a little dramatic, but that's just kind of how I've been feeling about where I'm at in this process over the last week of creating something. But I want to start out and just kind of take you guys through the process that I followed to create this prototype, as it were. The methodology that I've used in the past and the methodology that I'm using right now is the Google Design Sprint methodology. So it has kind of 6 phases to it. The first one where you understand the problem, the second one where you define that problem that you're trying to solve, you sketch out different ideas on how to solve that problem, you decide which one you're going to go with, then you create a little bit of higher res prototype, and then you validate that with your users. It's a pretty tried and true method. I used to use it all the time in my work as an innovation engineer. But I think as we get to the end of this video, I'll show you why it might have been better to almost skip to the prototype and validate parts of this methodology of the sprint to get there quicker, to get there faster, to understand exactly what people want a little bit quicker without spending time working on sketching and prototyping quite as much. So if you didn't tune into last week's episode, the company that I'm trying to make is called the Salary Negotiation Agent. I think there's a lot of problems that people have when they're trying to negotiate their salary. And what I did was just jot down a few of these different problems or different things that people might be thinking, and then came up with one central problem. I want to negotiate a salary or an offer, but I don't feel like I'm in the position or have the right skills or tools to negotiate for a higher salary. I think that's really what's holding people back right now, is that they have a lack of confidence of what they're trying to negotiate for and the way in which to negotiate. They're not quite sure of how to do that. So that's kind of understanding the problem. If we go back to the design sprint methodology here, I'm trying to understand what's going through people's heads when they're in this problem of trying to negotiate their salary. Defining it, choosing the one problem to focus on is kind of narrowing down the diamond. And now the next phase that I went into was the sketch phase. So what I actually did was an exercise that Google calls the crazy eights, where you give yourself 8 minutes and you try to come up with 8 different designs or solutions to that problem in those 8 minutes. You want to do this on pen and paper so you can draw them really, really quickly without any tools getting in the way. It doesn't matter what they look like or if they actually look any good. It really just matters that you're getting these ideas out of your head and onto pen and paper. Then I took pictures of all the different ideas, put them back in my mural board here so I could see them all side by side. Then I took the time to rank my features or ideas based on technical difficulty and then the value that they would provide to users. So you see I kind of lumped a few of them into different groups here, some of them around AI, some of them allowing people to better understand what a good salary is to negotiate on, and then some of it around having a home screen where you can kind of keep track of all your negotiations in one place. I then took the time to get some inspiration from other applications, not other applications that do salary negotiation, because I don't really think there are many or any out there, but applications that I use on a day-to-day basis and look at how they're laying out their user interfaces. Oftentimes you'll find there's applications out there that are similar to what you've got in your head, but maybe they're in a different niche. So we could take a look at here. There's a dog training application. And I thought this was really similar to how I could lay out my application, where there's different training programs that a person could go through to learn how to negotiate. Or maybe it's looking at how Snapchat does their AI integration into their application. Maybe that's how I add AI into this application to do the negotiation for someone. So after getting all these ideas, I then took to the whiteboard here and drew out some kind of medium and low resolution prototypes of what I think the application could look like. I've got the features kind of prioritized. I know what features I want to hit into these prototypes, and I just wanted to get it out there in a medium fidelity so that I could see kind of how the application is going to flow, how someone's going to go into there, use it, solve the problem of making their salary negotiation easier, and then get out of there. So from those low and medium resolution prototypes, I then went to Figma to create some kind of high resolution prototypes. These aren't the final way that this application is going to look. This is far from it. I wanted to get what was in my brain out into the computer and make it a little bit more realistic. So you can see we've got a loading screen here. We've got a home screen with a little ninja pop-up that says, how can you help me, or how can I help you today? Help me to negotiate. Let's practice negotiating. Let's figure out my worth. Those are kind of the three things I think that go into a successful salary negotiation right now. We can also see someone's tracking their negotiations right now, so maybe they've interviewed at 3 different companies. They can kind of keep track of that here. And then we've got some social proof down below of how people are increasing their offers by using this tool. This is that My Negotiation screen where you keep track of all the different negotiations that you have going on. I also thought maybe it'd be kind of cool to have a training simulator. So putting people up against an AI and having them negotiate in a way so that they can get better at those skills. And then I've just got a simple profile screen here where you can put in any information about yourself, the minimum desired salary, that happy salary that you want. That's where you want to be. That's where you don't want to be, but maybe you'd accept it for working at the right company. And then maybe some defaults on kind of what negotiation style and what tone do you want to have with your any messages that are created for you. So if we take a look back at this design sprint methodology that Google's laying out, we've gone through the understand and define. We've sketched out some ideas. We've decided which ones to focus on. I created a prototype, and now we're at this phase 6 where I've got to validate this idea. And I think it would have maybe made a little bit more sense to start with trying to validate the idea. I haven't spent any time so far trying to prove that people want an AI to negotiate their salary for them, or they want an agent to negotiate their salary for them. I don't know. I could have made these prototypes, done all these sketches, done all this thought, and I might even get to the point where I create actual working software, but I still don't know if people want it. This is something that's pushed all the time in the indie hacker forums, or you see it online. Sales and marketing is the number one thing that you need, but as a software founder, it kind of feels disingenuous. If I don't have software yet, it feels weird to try and sell the thing then. But I think maybe a better way to think about it is I'm not trying to dupe people into buying something that doesn't exist. I got to make sure that when I'm validating this, I'm not offering a complete solution. I am offering the most bare bones idea about a solution. I'm not asking people if they want to buy a car that doesn't exist yet. I want to see if they like the idea of having a car. Maybe I find out people don't want cars, and what they want instead is something that's powered by themselves, something that is smaller and lighter that they can ride around on small little streets. And then I go back to the drawing board and see, oh, maybe the idea of a bicycle is a better way to go about this. So I think over the next week, I'm going to really laser in and focus on validating the idea, getting out there, figuring out if this is something that people want help with. And if the way that I'm proposing help, having an AI or an agent to do the negotiation for you, is something that people would be amenable to. So with all that said, I'm happy with some of the progress that I made this week. I started to think through some of the use cases that this could be used with, but I don't want to get too married to this idea as it is right now. I really got to dig in and figure out what people want. All right, I'll catch you next week. Later.